morning. Morning, confirmands. Love seeing people in the front row. Guys, did you know the front row is always available? Always. So have y'all ever been in the middle of a project? Maybe cleaning out your closet, cleaning out your garage. You're knee deep through a pile of jeans or old clothes, and then you turn around and there's more clothes, or there's more, you're maybe cleaning out the garage, there's more boxes, and you're like, oh, how did I get here? How did I get here? Better yet, how do I get out? How do I finish this? What is the end? Where is the end in sight? Or better yet, maybe at school or at work, and you're in the middle of a project, or maybe trying to start a project, and you think, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I just get to the other side of this? All I want is to get to the other side of this project. I didn't envision this for myself when I was doing school or signing up for this when I took this job. I didn't think I would be signing up for emails every day. How do I see the end of this? Being a follower of Jesus, we find ourselves in situations like that a lot, where we're in the middle of this faith journey, and every once in a while we face an obstacle, and we kind of think to ourselves, stop and say, how did I get here? And better yet, how do I get on the other side of this? How did I end up here? It's hard to keep the energy going, of running the race, keeping the project going to the finish line, when we can't even see where the finish line is. I think, why did I start this in the first place? I can't see the start line. I can't see the finish line. I'm just in the middle of this mess. It's really tempting to just kind of call it quits and go take a nap or something. It'd be much easier to go through this life if we didn't consider first what Jesus would do if Jesus were us. It'd be a lot easier to go through this life if we didn't first consider, what choice would Jesus make if he were me? If we didn't face so many hurdles, if we didn't have all these obstacles, like when our friends leave us out of the group message, or we lose out on that promotion, our mom gets sick, kids get bullied. These obstacles show up in our path, and it'd be so much easier to face these obstacles if I didn't have to consider what Jesus would do. If I could just consider what would be best for me in the end of this, it'd be a lot easier. So the temptation to give up is very easy. What's the point of getting up on Sundays and reading the Bible and praying? I've been doing all of these things faithfully, we think. I've been opening that Bible app. I've been coming to church multiple times a month. I joined a Bible study, and I'm still getting these hurdles. I'm joining the church, I'm confirming my faith, and I'm facing more hurdles and more obstacles, and it seems like God keeps putting things in my path that challenge me, and I think, what the heck, why am I trying so hard when it's these struggles, these obstacles, they keep coming? Why am I trying so hard? Surely if I just try a little harder, if I jump a little higher, if I read more, if I pray more, maybe these hurdles will go away. How do I see to the other side of this hurdle? Well, maybe the key to running our race, the key to running the race of faith, isn't about running harder or jumping higher or clearing more obstacles. it might actually be about seeing more clearly. Faith is the faith journey, faith in Jesus, being a disciple of Jesus. It's often compared to running a race in the New Testament, but perhaps the most famous time is what we're looking at today in Hebrews chapter 12. The race of faith is an endurance race. And I don't want this to intimidate our confirmands, but how many of us would have signed up for this if we had known that this was going to be an endurance race, not a sprint? The author of Hebrews puts it like this in chapter 12. So then with endurance, let's also run the race that is laid out in front of us, since we have such a great cloud of witnesses surrounding us. Let's throw off any extra baggage, get rid of the sin that trips us up, and fix our eyes on Jesus, faith's pioneer and perfecter. He endured the cross, ignoring the shame for the sake of the joy that was laid out ahead of him, and sat down at the right side of God's throne. So this author of Hebrews, he gives us some tips, some race tips for running this race of faith. The first one is to lean into the crowd's energy. I mean, I have not run a race. Never. But some of you may have. Some of you are probably in track or cross country, and you're running the race, and towards the end, you're like, I can barely feel my muscles. How are they still attached to my body? I just have to keep going, For those of us who aren't runners, imagine we're running. We're mile 23 of 26 in this marathon, and you just can't imagine being any more tired. That the temptation to give up is so real. But then you hear it. You hear the crowd. And guess what? They're chanting your name. They're chanting your name. You can do it. Keep going. Look how far you've come. Incredible. Keep going one step at a time. This crowd is chanting and cheering for you. We don't run this race alone. There is a cloud of witnesses, as Hebrews says. This cloud of witnesses isn't strangers, but it's the people who have gone before us in faith. The people who have gone on into eternity, the people, our grandparents, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our Sunday school teachers from when we were little. But it's also Mary and Paul and Peter and Moses. All of them have run the race of faith. And they're all standing on the sidelines cheering for us. Imagine it like the New York Marathon. Have you seen all of those signs that people would hold up? The ones that say, you could have gone to therapy. That might be the sign that you need to read. It might be the one you need to read. But they're Moses and Peter, and they're holding up those signs, cheering for you as you go on, because they've run this race too. They said, I've been there, keep going. I know you want to give up, keep going. Look what you've come, how far you've come. Keep going. They're all people who have run races just as hard as ours. They've encountered circumstances they never thought that they would. They've run the race through financial hardship, through political uncertainty, through being a single parent, through receiving a diagnosis that's life-changing. They have run a race. They've completed it. And they're cheering for you as you run. Who is in that crowd that you need to look to that's cheering you on? Hebrews also says to let go of the baggage. Let go of any weight, anything that's going to trip you up. Because imagine we see somebody running a race. We see runners going down the street, and then we see one guy, and for some reason he's got a parka on, and he's got carrying a few duffel bags, and he's kind of stumbling along, and we all kind of think, what? Why is he wearing that and carrying all that? What is he doing? He's making the race harder for himself. Why would he do that? But what we don't know is that he didn't start the race like that. But at some point he picked up the parka and put it on, and then at another point somebody handed him the duffel and he started carrying, and he suddenly got used to how hard it was to run, and man, he just couldn't understand why other people were running the race. It was easier for them to run the race. And we're all shouting, let go of all the baggage. Lose the parka, my guy. It's getting in the way. How often are we carrying extra weight we don't realize that we're carrying? Because we've gotten used to it. The weight of sins, the weight of anger. We pick up that parka because we got real angry at our coworker or that kid who sits next to us in math. You know, it's a lot harder to run the race of faith when we've got that parka on because we're so angry. We're so angry. And then when suddenly somebody gives us this duffel bag, it's our friends and it's our neighbors, and they're saying, it really matters what I think of you. I'm judging you. And so we start carrying that because now we got to keep up running with their judgment and making sure we're pleasing them and all that. And it's just getting harder and harder to run. And we can't imagine why. Why is it so hard to run? And Hebrews says, maybe you let go of all that baggage. It's tripping you up. I am so guilty of picking up other people's baggage, of expectations of other people. And I'm like, oh, yeah, give it to me, I'll carry it. And then I'm like, why is it so hard to run? It's so hard. Maybe I'll try letting go of what other people think of me and see how much easier it could be to run this race. Because running a race and being a faithful disciple of Jesus is already a hard enough task on its own. We don't need to make this race any harder. We're making the race harder for ourselves when we pick up extra burdens. Jesus himself said in Matthew 11 that we are to go to Jesus with burdens and lay those burdens down, and he'll give us rest. Because the race of faith, the being a disciple of Jesus, isn't about carrying heavy burdens. It's about running next to Jesus, who said he'll share the yoke with us. Hebrews gives us one more race tip that perhaps is obvious, but to keep our eyes on the prize. It's not about trying harder, but it's about seeing better, seeing more clearly, keeping our eyes on Jesus. Because of course the race becomes difficult to run when our focus shifts not from the finish line, but into right in front of us, the hurdles that are right in front of us. how tricky the obstacles are. Oh, what am I going to do if this happens? If this is the hurdle that I face, how am I going to overcome it? What if there's this? And what if my friend says that? Or what if this financial hardship comes? Or what if this happens and the tariffs? Or if this happens with the political whatever? And we get so focused on the obstacles and how are we going to overcome the obstacles that keep trying to predict the obstacles that come at us 6 months down the road, a year down the road. And we've lost sight of what the finish line. It's not about the obstacles, it's about the finish line. It's not about how many obstacles we can clear or how many times maybe we get off the course, but it's about getting back on the course and keeping our eyes on Jesus. It's not about pretending the obstacles aren't real, but it's about seeing something more real ahead of them. Saying, I know that this is here, but I see beyond them. And we're encouraged to keep our eyes on Jesus. It makes me think of when Peter sees Jesus walking on the water, and he says, I want to do that too. I want to walk on water. And Jesus says, come on. So Peter steps out of the boat, starts walking, and but wouldn't you know it, there's a storm. And Peter's eyes are on Jesus. He says, the storm though. Got to look at that storm. And what happens? He starts to sink. He started focusing on the obstacle. And I don't think I can do it if there's a storm. Well, he was walking on it before when his eyes were on Jesus. We keep our eyes focused on Jesus because he is the pioneer and the perfecter of the race of faith. Jesus himself created the race. Who better to look to than the one who mapped the race himself? The one who not only mapped the race and literally set out the course before us that we would run, but he ran the race. He ran the very race that we're running. He knows the obstacles to come. Who better to keep our eyes focused on than the one who mapped it and the one who finished it? What we focus on determines how we run. If we're focusing on the obstacle and on the pain, and it's easy to give up. But if we're focusing on the finish, on the joy that's ahead, it's easier to keep going. This is exactly what Jesus does. Jesus models this exactly when he didn't fixate on the suffering of the cross. He knew the cross was something to be endured. He didn't enjoy it, but he saw to the other side. He said, this is worth it because there's joy ahead. There is joy ahead. There is something better than this. That's why we keep running this race. We run the race because of the joy ahead. Jesus didn't endure the cross because he enjoyed it. He endured it because he knew the joy was coming on the other side, the joy of resurrection, the joy of redeeming you and me, the joy of all of us being born new. The joy of being one with God. The joy ahead is greater than any obstacle we're facing right now. Any of it. And I don't know all of your stories. I don't know what hurdle or obstacle you are facing right now. I don't know what's around the bend for you either. And you may be thinking, that's really nice to hear, but it's not very helpful for me today because I still got an obstacle I got to go through. I hear you. Jesus hears you. That's why he's running the race along next to you. And that's why he said, keep your eyes on me. I promise there is joy ahead. You can keep running this race because somebody has already finished it ahead of you. He finished it for you with joy waiting on the other side. Will you pray with me? Loving God, we thank you for your Son, Jesus, who is the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith, the one who mapped out our race, the one who knows all the obstacles to come, and the one who has completed our race for us. God, we need his comfort. We need encouragement of the crowd. We need your help letting go of the baggage of the things that trip us up and keep us from running the race. God, we need your help. Encourage us and empower us and strengthen us, oh God. Thank you for your Son, Jesus. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Friends, for all the ways that you have been generous, we give you so many thanks. Every program, every ministry, everything that happens at this church is because of your generosity. We couldn't do a single thing without it. And because of your generosity, people are able to grow in their relationship with Jesus. So I hope you know how grateful we are for your generosity. I want you to take a look at one of the ways that your generosity has made a difference in the life of this church.
Hi, I'm Julie Hawkins, Executive Director of Family Ministries here at Trietsch. I want to thank you for all the generous ways you give. It allows us to do so much in the life of the church and the community. We can share the love of Jesus with others thanks to your generous giving. One of the ways we've been able to help the community recently is near and dear to my heart. It's the Trietsch Family Fest. Trietsch Family Fest was the Saturday before Palm Sunday. We had food trucks, we had hot dogs, we had Kona ice truck, we had bounce houses, we had scavenger hunts, we had Holy Week passports. So many things to get families ready for Holy Week and Easter season at church. To continue to give to all the ministries at Trietsch, simply scan the QR code on the screen, go to tmumc.org/give, or text the letters TMUMC to 45777. Thanks for your giving.